Welcome everyone. Good morning. It's a beautiful Saturday here in Orlando, Florida. I want to say good morning to everyone around the world. You know, yesterday I'm gonna wait a couple minutes to see people coming because I think what I'm about to share with you is just as important as the virus. Okay, I don't think that there's any more to be said about the virus, but we're trying to see what will happen after the virus, okay, is over and it will be over, okay? How do we see the world, okay? What are the changes? Because if anyone doesn't think that there will be changes around the world, you're just fooling yourself. You have to understand that this global shock, economic shock, political shock, health shock, putting 7.7 billion people in their homes, is a shock that we have never seen before. So the consequences of this shock, it will be something that we've seen before, but some of it will be new to us and new to humans. Okay, so we spoke about the virus several times. We spoke about who's behind it, who benefit from it, what happened. We pray for our medical staff all around the world. And we said a million times, as humans, we're all in this together. We all have the same blood. We're riding the same boat. Okay, please, if you can do a watch party, do this, because I promise you there's some valuable information that not just will benefit you, but will benefit a lot of people. So let me start by this. Let me share with you Stockdale paradox. Okay, what's Stockdale? Stockdale paradox came from James Stockdale, who was a former vice presidential candidate. Okay, the guy was a prisoner of war in Vietnam. And his story, long short, was, he was one of few who made it out of the prison he was in. And when he was asked, who do you think didn't make it? The first thing he said was the optimist. And this was a shotgun answer. And why the optimist? And this is his quote: "You must not focus on faith that you will prevail in the end. With discipline, and the end, with discipline to confront the most brutal facts of your current reality." I can find a better quote that describe our brutal current reality. I don't think that any one of you watching out there in his wildest dreams, only 3 months ago, January or New Year Eve, when you were looking forward to 2020, this will be a great year, that you will be locked down in your home today, not able to go see your kids, your grandkids, your parents anywhere in the world, that you had to cancel all your plans, that you can't go to work. And all the news around you is just talk about a virus who's killing people. So here is based on my research and my economic background, okay, and current and historical events. Let's start with what we think is going to happen, okay, in the next 12 months. Vaccination from the wallet from Bill Gates. I don't need to prove this. You can Google it. You heard it from the guy. He had invested over $150 million just in the past couple of weeks. He's planning to invest billions of dollars. He even named 4 companies that he's focusing more on them, and 6 other companies he's working with them. And his idea in his own was that at one point, no one will be able to travel the world without a certificate of vaccination. So go Google it, okay? You will hear it from the man himself. Number 2, the world will go back to normal in June, okay? Yesterday, Iran, who is one of the most hit-hardest countries in the world, they start lifting the lockdown. They start letting their citizens go, okay, around the country, except in Tehran maybe, but around the country they are going back to their economic life. Yesterday also in Orlando, Florida, that we got the news that the lockdown will stay till June 1st. And all the news around the world are coming that June is the target when we're looking for the summertime. Okay, this is when we should be able to go back to normality, but not 100% back to normality. When I'm talking about going back to normal, going back to be able to leave your house, but everyone will be wearing a mask. You watch, everyone will be wearing a mask. One of the things that the Asians had an edge over the rest of the world, that they are used to the mask culture. Japan, China, Vietnam, everywhere you go there, or you meet them anywhere in the States, a lot of them wear masks as is way before this. So they are used to this since SARS. So from the other pandemics, they always wore masks. But I think the whole world will be joining them. So June is when you look to go back a little to normal. Second wave of virus in September and October. Again, this is what happened with the H1N1. This is what happened with SARS. viruses come at the flu season, which this is what we have. We had the flu season. Unfortunately, this one is little expanded, okay, because normally it ends by spring, but this one is going. So the viruses come in January, February, flu season, and they peak, and then they start slowing down in spring, okay, slow down, literally die in the summer, and then they come very aggressive in September and October. So based on historical events, this is why I'm anticipating it will come back September and October. There will be a big push to have a digital ID, okay, on all humans. You can go check ID2020.org. Again, ID2020.org. You will see it there in black and white. You will see it there in writing where the Rockefellers, the Bill Gates of the world, they believe that every one of us around the world should have a digital ID. It doesn't say you have to have a chip inside you, but say that you have a digital ID for safety and for be able to travel and do financial transactions. Actually, you talk about like every single one of us is being tracked. Now, this is actually happening right now in China. And I don't know if you've seen the videos or not for the Chinese government. They are able to look at everyone's phone and see what's your body temperature. They are able to find you from your phone. They are able to know where are you at, what you're doing, who you're sitting with, what kind of transaction you did at the bank. You know what? You cannot buy a train ticket in China without a cell phone. Your cell phone is your identity, which is a digital identity. Your cell phone is your identity, which is your digital identity, okay? So they are pushing in it to make it formal worldwide, so be in the look for this one. Elections, okay? And I know I'm talking to my friends all over the world, from everywhere, okay? But the whole world looks at the United States, looks at the United States as we are the leaders, look at the United States as the largest economy in the world, look at the United States as right now the center of the pandemic worldwide. We have over than 500,000 people got infected with the virus. And our population is 335 million versus China, 1.6 billion population and only 80,000 people get infected. But the elections here in the United States, okay, which happen at the end of the fall, I think that most of the states will do it by mail. And again, that's based on the prediction there will be a second wave. Now, vaccinations from Bill Gates have nothing to do with the June. Vaccination normally take at least 12 months. I believe with all the pressure from around the world and all the money being invested and everyone working his tail off, we should have a vaccination by the end of this year, okay? Now, a lot of people will refuse to take the vaccination, and some people will. And I bet you my life he will start with Africa, because he have always treated Africa as their rats. That's to try in Africa. And I'm African, I'm from Africa, and it's shameful to hear that our continent and our people are being used as experimental rats, but it is the fact, okay? This is the ugly reality. Trump is gonna get re-elected, okay? I'm not telling you vote for him. I'm not saying don't vote for him. I'm just telling you my prediction. And we go back 2016 when 80% of the world and the country was saying Hillary got it in the bag. Trump won the election, okay? And everyone thought this would be the end of the world, and it was not. And we're here today, we're still alive. And to be honest with you, I don't think any one of you out there watching this video, I don't know if you're a Democrat, if you're extreme left wing, if you're a liberal, okay, if you're a centrist, you don't see just Joe Biden handling what we are doing right now. What we are in is way bigger than Joe Biden. For God's sake, I keep watching videos for the guy. He can say 2 sentences together. The guy is just, you know, I feel like the Democratic Party is doomed. So 4 years ago, you get Hillary Clinton, which is, you know, the wife of an ex-president who's already in the White House for 8 years and was Secretary of State and was a senator and was a United Nations ambassador. And then now we have another one, Joe Biden, after the Democratic Party screwed Bernie Sanders big time, twice back to back, the poor guy. And they put a guy who was already a vice president for 8 years. Like the whole Democratic Party was more than 60, 70 million members. Can't find a new face. You can't find a single new face. You keep bringing the old guard who want to keep the status quo, and nothing moves. That's why Trump will be re-elected. Joe Biden, there's no way in the world that this guy's going to have a chance. The dissolval of the European Union. I mean, watch what happened when Italy started getting hit hard by the virus and asked for help from the European nations. Every European nation told them, you're on your own. No one helped them. The Chinese helped them, the Russians helped them, the Cubans helped them. No one helped Italy. No one helped Spain. Okay, Europe. This are the time when you actually need the European Union. It's just like we have the 50 states, okay? And this is the time when we get together and we help each other. We're helping New York, we're helping California. In Europe, it didn't work this way. In Europe, everyone was in his own. There would be no European Union within 12 months. And for that, there would be no Europe, okay? Now, Cold War. And people say, are you talking about war? Cold War. We are in the middle of a Cold War. We are already there. If you haven't noticed, okay, we have a country that have been buying assets over in other countries, that have been buying ports, that have been having a big economic effect on a lot of countries, bringing them to their camp. And we have another country on the other side, okay, have been leading the Western free world. So we are already in a Cold War with China, and it didn't start now. It didn't start from the virus. It started when Trump get elected and he promised to go after China. It started back then, and it will keep going. There will be no military war, okay? But the Cold War is happening, okay? In our camp, you will have England, you will have Australia, you will have Japan, you will have South Korea, you got Israel, West Europe, except France. You will have India, you will have the Gulf countries. Chinese camp, you will have Russia, Italy, Iran, Iraq, East Europe, Cuba, Venezuela, African countries except North Africa. And the reason why, because every country I mentioned will be in the Chinese camp, have been a country that have received billions and billions of dollars from the Chinese government, communist government. And every country I mentioned on the USA camp is a country that share our beliefs of freedom, share our beliefs of dignity, share our belief that the people is the government. You know, you got countries like France, Spain, Pakistan, Latin America, Switzerland, North Africa, okay, will be neutral. Again, this is history, guys, but before it happened between the USA and the Soviet Union, and now it's gonna happen between the USA and China. There is nothing new about this. I'm not telling you anything new. Everyone is watching this right now who is older than 30 years know the Cold War, know the Soviet Union, know what happened between Reagan and Gorbachev. They know everything we went through this. I'm just refreshing your mind. History seems to repeat itself. A lot of industries will come back to the USA, and you will see a big push in legalizing the low-cost labor, okay, the immigrants, with giving them work permits, but not a path to citizenship, because I understand the mentality of the Republican Party. They want the labor to come in. They are worried about the white race actually being the minority. I'll say it blank right there, okay? Their biggest fear on the right wing is the white race become a minority, okay? So they will come to their senses and say, we need immigration, just we're not gonna give them citizenship. This is another topic to debate some other time. So a lot of industries will come back, especially agriculture, medical, and we will keep the lead in the technology. This country, every idea in the world, I don't care if you're sitting in Cairo, I don't care if you're sitting in New Delhi, in Mumbai, even in Beijing, I don't care where you are, but Facebook, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Uber, every idea that takes over the world comes from this great nation of ours, the United States of America. Dubai will bankrupt, and I have people get mad, say, what do you mean? What do you mean Dubai will bankrupt? Let me remind you, Dubai did bankrupt in 2008, 2009. They actually officially bankrupted. At that time, Abu Dhabi, which is the other part of the country, United Arab Emirates, they came, they saved them, they gave them billions and billions of dollars because they have oil. Dubai doesn't have oil. Dubai depends solely in tourism and on services. Now, the Expo was the biggest event they have been waiting on for 10 years. The Expo is not gonna happen. Their GDP have been going around 3%. This is a GDP of a developed country like the USA. Since they are a developing country, anytime you go below 6-7%, it is not sustainable. Dubai doesn't have oil. Oil is only in Abu Dhabi. The problem now is oil is so cheap that Abu Dhabi itself is having issues. So Dubai will bankrupt again like they did in 08, 09. Again, history repeats itself. War in the Middle East between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Okay, I don't know how you look at it, how you slice it, Both governments are under a lot of pressure from the virus. Both governments having issues with their own people, and both governments are suffering from the oil prices, and a war is the only way to bring them out of it. It will be a quick one. It will stop. The United States will sell a lot of weapons to Saudi Arabia. The Chinese and the Russians will sell a lot of weapons to Iran, and someone will always make money. Someone will benefit while the poor people will die. But it's gonna happen. There is no way around it. Look at Yemen, look at Lebanon, look at Syria, and look at Iraq. It's just all of this happening in the Middle East is preparing for this big war. Look at all the Gulf people who are actually buying a lot of investments in other countries around the world, especially the Saudis, because they know it's coming. World population will increase in numbers that we've never seen before. And I know that this will upset Bill Gates, because his goal is to lower the world population. But listen, you have 7.7 billion people sitting at their homes, locked down, doing nothing. Okay, what do you expect them to do? They are eating and they are making love, man. And we've seen that again happened in Egypt back in 2011, when we had a lockdown and a really strict curfew for 3 months, when we had the revolution there. And guess what? The country population jumped 5% in 1 year. Okay, 5%, okay, in 1 year. So you do the math of 7.7 billion and you would see how the world population will go up big time, okay, which will cause food shortage. Again, we had food shortages in a lot of spots around the world. We had it in Somalia, we had it in Sudan, we had it in Eritrea, we had it in Uganda, and millions of people died of starvation. This is not new. Okay, what add to this is 500 million people around the world have went under poverty line because of the coronavirus. 500 million people are under poverty line. Food shortage is coming. Okay, war between Egypt and Ethiopia over the River Nile. Okay, there's no secret. Okay, Egypt without the Nile, we would be desert. It will be a desert, and everyone will die. It's actually going to be a war for survival if Ethiopia doesn't come back to their senses and don't use the head of the WHO, the World Health Organization, who is the Ethiopian minister and who played the dirty game to get the World Health Organization to cover up for the Chinese government bullshit and hiding the virus from the world till where we are today. Do you know that the guy was attacking the United States when Trump announced on February 5th that we will stop the flights with China? That the head of the World Health Organization came on TV, and you can go to YouTube and see it yourself, and he said this is unnecessary measures. That guy need to go from the World Health Organization. He did this to benefit his country. There will be a war because you just don't expect to cut water on 100 million people and you expect this 100 million people to sit still and be nice about it. More people will work from home. I mean, we're already working from home. You are working from home. Everyone is working from home. So that will affect the commercial real estate, because a lot of companies will realize, you know what? Why we have been paying for all these office spaces while we can cut cost and liability and get people to work from their home. So commercial real estate will take a hit. At the same time, residential real estate, because it's an asset where people are looking around and say, at the end of the day, I have my home. This is all what I got is my home. So residential real estate will go up in value in the next 12 to 18 months, and then it will crash like it did in Japan, because inflation will come later. More kids will be homeschooled. I'm not talking about now, because right now every kid in the world is homeschooled. I'm talking about when this is over and we'll go back to normal. By the way, New York just announced today in the morning that the schools are not going back till September next year. And if we think that there will be a second wave, it will be pushed. My son public school here have called me and said time to enroll for online classes for next year, and we're in Orlando, Florida. Most of the kids will be homeschooled. A lot of private schools will go out of business. More people will turn into conservative, okay, and the Democrats will lose the Congress. And yes, this is big, because number one, let's start with the Democrats. The Democrats among themselves are split into two halves. You get the progressive liberal who believe that they need a revolution, and then you get the centrist. And that half of the liberal, okay, the progressive, who refused to support Biden, okay, who refused to support Hillary 4 years ago, again, we'll talk about history repeats itself, is gonna refuse to support the current same old Democratic Party leadership from Nancy Pelosi to Chuck Schumer, to all these people, because you watched what they have been doing in this crisis over and over, and all what they have been doing, they have been pushing their political agenda despite okay, the emergency need for funding for small businesses. And when we say small businesses, when you are a small business owner, you don't care who's Democrat and who Republican. You need money, and you need it now to float and pay your people. And when you hear in the CNN, on the news, MSNBC, that they are blocking $250 billion as second aid, because guess what? Banks already ran out of the first $500 billion. We ran out of money in 2 days. 2 days, we ran out of $500 billion. So we need $250 billion immediately. And the Democratic leadership is blocking it, asking for support for hospitals who have a lot of cash, and they are getting all their equipment for free now, by the way. And states, which this is a federal government, okay? Every state in its own, and if you need help, you get it from FEMA. They are pushing on voter registration. They are pushing on minimum wage. They are pushing in Kennedy Art Center. They are pushing in some crazy stuff that if any human being read it, will go insane. So Democrats, I'm bringing to you losing the Congress this season. And actually, to be honest with you, I think this is best for the Democratic Party, so they can renew themselves and come up with new blood, because that party is dying day after day. More houses of worship will be built. Not a surprise. I don't care what's your religion. You're Muslim, you're Christian, you're Jewish. Open your Facebook. Everyone is praying to God. Everyone say they miss the mosque, they miss the church, they miss going to the synagogue. Okay. Everyone is surprised that all the liquor stores are still open, but the churches and mosques and synagogues are closed, even though alcohol caused 87,000 deaths last year, and praying in a mosque or a church caused 0. More extreme religious people will surge, and after every pandemic, after every disaster, after every worldwide event that happened, more people turn extremely religion, because some of you guys out there think this is the end of the world, and it's not. More guns will be sold. This have been actually going on. Month of March, last month, 2.5 million pieces of guns were sold. Okay, more people will seek ways of defending themselves. I'm not telling people go buy guns. I'm just predicting what's happening. Okay, I'm telling you what is gonna happen. More people will commit suicide. I mean, you don't need the statistics for that. If you have more people around the planet that they lost their job, if you have more people are locked in their homes, and by the way, a lot of people live in very small apartments with no balcony. I just want you to think the kind of phobic that's happening to them right now. I want you to think as a father who have 4 kids and you don't know how to get food to you kids, or you don't know who to borrow or who to go to get this money because everyone is locked down. Okay? I want you to look at the people who are losing their loved ones without being able to say goodbye or give them the last kiss. Racism, domestic abuse, and divorces will go up. Again, racism, and I will say this one last time. Big difference, not big difference, black and white, between the Chinese Communist Party government, the assholes out there, who have imprisoned, killed millions of their own people over the year from Mao Zedong till today, who have imprisoned millions of Muslims in camps last year. We're not talking about 100 years ago, we're talking about last year. Who hunted down the doctor who was trying to warn the world about the virus until he's dead. Big difference between this mentality and those kind of people, and the Chinese, the great people of China, who are human beings just like me and you and everyone, who are one of the oldest civilizations in the world. If you see any racist toward any Asian looking person, stand up for it, defend your neighbor, defend your friend, defend your fellow human, okay, against racism. Domestic abuse is on the rise. As I'm talking to you, domestic abuse is happening all over the world. And this is wrong, and this will destroy more family, and that's why divorces will go up high. More government control over the people. This is not just the United States, this is the worldwide. Now, think about it. Everyone wants for any government position, he's running for power. He like power. Anyone. I don't care what kind of politician you are worldwide. If you're a politician, you went for power. You believe like power of change, you believe power of serving the people, you believe that whatever power you believe in, but you're running for power. Right now, every government in the world have an ultimate power over the people. They can do whatever they want because everyone is locked down. I don't care what they do, they can do whatever they want because everyone locked down, from the Philippines to Singapore, and from Saudi Arabia to Morocco, and from Emirates to Russia, and from England to Spain to Brazil to Colombia to Argentina to everywhere in the world. Everyone is locked down and the government is using their hammer to make sure that everyone is under control. The one country that I salute them is Sweden. Please go search about how Sweden is handling the current situation, because I think that this is the only country on earth is doing it right now. There will be more assassinations worldwide. We're in chaos. We're in chaos. So all the political rivals everywhere, this is the best opportunity to take the revenge. Everyone is busy with the virus. Everyone is busy with the muscle. Everyone is busy with the vaccination. Everyone is busy with the lockdown. This is the best opportunity for all these political rivals to take each other down. China will be the largest economy in the world for a quarter or two when the numbers come out. But God forbid, they will go downhill very quick because they are getting such a backlash. And when I'm talking about industries going back to the US, industries will go back to India, industries will go back to Australia, industries will go back to United Kingdom. Every country better learn from what happened right now. The numbers just came yesterday. The Chinese sold 4 billion face masks. The Chinese actually industrial activities have went up 52% in the month of March. And the whole world see this. The whole world see this. So the whole world is super angry at the Chinese government. More hurricanes and earthquakes than usual. And again, you can go check on the Center of National Disaster or the Center of National Weather, and they predicted that this season of hurricanes and earthquakes, no one can predict an earthquake because, they can't say because of the shift in the earth layers. They expect it, but nobody knows when or where it will happen. And I pray to God it never happen. And one last thing is the economy will rally the third and fourth quarter, okay? Whenever you have a big down, you have a big rebound. It's just the nature of the beast. I hope and pray that, that most of this, my prediction is wrong, but unfortunately all of these are actually historical facts that are repeating themselves due to the current situation. There's nothing new. I didn't tell you anything you don't know. I want you to imagine if you were living in Florida when the Cuban Missiles crisis were happening. For all of you who are watching and you don't know, okay, when John F. Kennedy was the president of the United States, we were that close of having a nuclear war with the Soviet Union. We're not talking coronavirus. We're not talking lockdown. We're not talking Chinese being behind it or after it or benefiting. We're talking about a total nuclear war that everyone is watching this right now. He remembered his grandparents living in bunkers. So we've been through wars. We've been through wars. We just have a very short memory. I just want you to be prepared. Mentally, physically, financially. I want you to pray for the best. Okay? And be ready for the worst. And all of you, my family and friends out there, I love you. And I know that we disagree right now. But this should be our strength, is our differences, is us thinking together. It's not just we agree on everything, it's our difference. Having a respected conversation and a dialogue. The attacks, the languages that are being used right now between friends and family is unbelievable. I know everyone is distressed, but this is a time where you need to take a deep breath and know that I love you. And you know that I will be the first one there for you if you ever need me. And I will remind you over and over again, my words is my responsibility. How you take it, how you understand it is your own responsibility. Be safe, stay home. God bless all human beings. God bless America.